9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Startup Success video series. Today we are joined by a very special guest, Doctor of Psychology and owner of the test company, Dr. Sean Boyle. Dr. Boyle has an extensive career spanning 35 years with experience working in the construction, financial and education sectors. That includes being managing director of a competitive multi-depot company in the plant hire industry. In 2006, Sean discovered his passion for psychology, which resulted in a significant career change. Sean went on to obtain a BA and MSc in Psychology and Behavioural Research before ultimately gaining his PhD. For this, he was awarded the John and Pat Hume PhD Scholarship in Psychology at Maynooth University for his research into fear among humans in anxiety-inducing environments. Dr. Boyle went on to develop a strong scientific reputation in the field of human fear across Europe and the US and operated Ireland's only human fear laboratory at Maynooth University for 6 years. These days, Dr. Boyle is the owner and founder of the Test Company, a client-focused scientific career assessment process which successfully identifies an individual's strengths and behaviours and helps them guide them down the career path best suited to them. Since 2022, since 2022, Dr. Boyle has also served as lecturer and academic advisor at St. Patrick's College, Carlow, on their brand new BA Honours in Psychology programme. Dr. Sean Boyle, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much, Sean. It sounds like a very impressive resume. I'm not quite sure how it all manifested, but that's where I am.
I think it is an impressive resume. If nothing, especially in your field now, which is kind of career guidance and the specialized version of career guidance that you do, you're very much you're almost a poster child for your own industry in terms of switching your careers. I'd imagine what most people call fairly drastically back in 2000. I know we started, so maybe to say up the top of this. So we've known each other nearly 15 years now, I think.
Nearly, yeah.
We did our Bachelor of Arts in Psychology together at Maynooth University. Ultimately, I went another way. I went down this path of marketing, and I'll always tell myself the applied psychology of this kind of marketing that we do here. On the other hand, you went on, did your master's afterwards, got your PhD, did further work at Maynooth University in in your fear laboratory. Sounds almost Dr. Frankenstein.
As jobs go, it's pretty good. Someone once asked me, did I have a business card? And I went, what would I put on it? And they were like, human fear specialist. I was like, oh yeah, that would be the business card.
But yeah, so we've known each other a good while now, but realistically, I haven't seen you face to face in over a decade. We have been virtually patting each other on the back over LinkedIn for the last 10 years. I've been watching your kind of education career progress, your entrepreneurial venture go on. And I think like that, I know myself in my personal life, I don't know lots of people who've gone down this kind of entrepreneurial route. So I'm always happy to cheerlead anybody else who I may know who's kind of taking the dive.
Yeah.
So can I ask, I guess with the Test Company, it's a very kind of unique entrepreneurial venture. I'd imagine there was a lot of steps, both physical, real steps and also mental steps that took you to get from where you were working in a university over to founding your own company and taking this kind of unique take on career guidance. Can you kind of walk us through how you got from, I guess, that point A to point B?
It's definitely it's not a linear path. And to be honest, my interest, as you highlighted, 2006, 2006, I was this pretty successful businessman in plant construction sector. And I was a bit stressed, and I did a night course, and the night course I picked was in psychology, and it just blew my mind. It was the hardest thing that I'd ever come across. So I decided that, yeah, I'd like to pursue that, but I started, applied to get into university, got in and did a degree, but it was always a temporary thing, that this was just kind of facilitating my passion for it.
Yeah.
I would attend lectures, and then, I attend a lecture, and then I remember going to pick up a check off a builder afterwards.
Yeah.
And I remember delivering a concrete mixer one time to Kilcock, because that meant I could nip into a lecture and then drive back again. So it was always a temporary thing. But then the passion just took hold, and and I discovered the stream of psychology that I thought I'd be a counselling psychologist.
Yeah.
Turns out, no, I was just very interested in running a laboratory. And that's where I ended up having a laboratory. I had a lot of success in it. I had a lot of fun doing it. But then once I got my PhD, quickly afterwards, I discovered that box had been kind of ticked.
Yeah.
I'd been there for 7 or 8 years at that stage. And I just didn't see that that's where I wanted to go. Now, I think it's in my genes. My parents were entrepreneurs. They're successful entrepreneurs. They're very good at what they do. I'm an entrepreneur. So I think it was always going to be a case where I try and find an outlet for my new knowledge, and how I would pair that with my existing knowledge before that. I started to identify what skill sets I had, and it turns out that my enjoyment was helping students, decide what they were going to do after that. My expertise was in behavioural science, the measurement of behaviour, and using that to predict future behaviours. It was also the awareness that people's environments influence heavily their, combined with their behaviours, influence their sense of personal satisfaction and well-being. And then I had successfully changed careers 3 times at that stage. I left school as an apprentice accountant, and after 6 years, took 6 years of accountancy knowledge into a business, and then used that to build up that business.
Yeah.
And then, I once wrote an article which was what the entrepreneur brought to college. And I brought that appreciation that you need a network, you need to interact, you need to get out there, and so I built up a very successful network within the human fear community in Europe, which is a small community, but God, we are determined. So that was that. So it was a case of, how do I put these skills together into something which I can manifest, not a business out of, but just a job out of.
Yeah.
The problem was, it didn't exist. What I was proposing didn't exist, was career guidance from a purely behavioural modelling perspective. So I generate models of people's behaviour, and then that identifies why they are comfortable in one environment but not comfortable in their current environment, and maybe we just need to change the environment or whatever. There's no rule book for it. I had an idea, and as an entrepreneur, you'll appreciate this. The biggest challenge for an entrepreneur is the transfer from an idea state into an actual monetizing professional service or output that you can provide.
So something maybe if we can hang on there for a second was, it interests me as my industry is marketing, but taking, I guess, something that didn't exist to market. So you, as we've said, you've taken this unique approach to career guidance. It's behaviourally driven on kind of behavioural models. And for example, only last week, I got approached by a prospective client with one of these, this isn't on the market kind of ideas. And depending on the industry, like let's look at my industry, for example. When I took on this, now I do absolutely believe that what I'm bringing to market is a little bit different to what's out there already. That I'm trying to bring a one-house solution in to do kind of public relations and marketing, and kind of generally a lot of the online bits that companies need, like websites and maybe video and photo and graphic design, just kind of under one head. But while I can say all I want that I'm doing something unique, I can still follow the path of digital marketing agencies but that came before me, or public relations agencies that come before me. I can still try to attain clients who are looking for a digital marketing agency or who are looking for a public relations agency. When we're talking about taking something brand new to the market, there's a certain amount of educating the market that they need what you have. And it's a very different thing. So a lot of clients that I'll engage with, obviously depending on exactly what they do, but a lot of them will get benefit from, say, like Google search ads, because Google search ads are, generally speaking, people who need whatever that product or service is now and putting it into Google search, like a plumber needed me, or blinds and flooring, or whatever it might be. Whereas, and that can be a great, fairly reliable way to start bringing in revenue. You know how much people you're paying per click on the ads. You know how much you're going to charge per session. You very quickly, if you didn't know already, get a sense of how many people need to visit your website for it to turn into an inquiry, to turn into a sale, all that kind of thing. And from that perspective, it's fairly, I wouldn't want to say easy because I'll be shutting down my own industry, but there's a model there for saying, okay, this is how we turn investment into profit.
Yeah.
Whereas with what you're doing, there's not models necessarily out there for pricing. There are not people searching, Google searching for exactly what you do, because it's not exactly there. So how, I guess, can I ask you, if it's not prying too much, but like, especially in those early years, how did you find that initial client base? Like, how did you go to market and get in the first people through the door?
Initially, so in the initial stages of the test company it's exactly how you describe it. That I was trying to promote something that was completely novel, that perhaps people didn't understand, and I called it career identification and profiling. I think that was the original tag for it. But then but that wasn't going to do it. So then you just had to labor back onto, exactly how you described it, that there are techniques out there that people are likely to appreciate. They don't want to be the first one through the door. So it's about building up a bank of personal referrals.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's as simple as this. For any new product, you want your initial market research is always going to be, it's always going to be introducing it to people, but asking for a critique of it and seeing, how does that appreciate? Now, once again, I'm coming from a background in sales, and so it's just that, reaching out to people and saying, what is this? And they're going, well, what is it? I have a number of emails from friends who are just going, okay, you sent me your pitch. I still don't know what it is, though. I'm not quite sure what it is. And then it's like that, relying on existing support services from local enterprise office, etc., kind of doing that. But you're right. It has to be, when you launch a new product, it's just about, it's breaking down those barriers for people to, it's getting other people to describe your service back to you, because then you can see what it actually relates to.
Yeah.
And now I'm not unique, you see, because people use career guidance all the time.
Yes. Yeah.
My clients range from high-performing 14-year-olds to leaving cert students, to those who college didn't work out in the first year, to those who are leaving college and don't know when to work out, to those who have left college and they don't want to follow that, to people who are mid-career, people who are towards the end of their career. It's the full gamut. So the biggest challenge has been, within any entrepreneurial activity, you have to have that balance. You have to have the established work. So I do career guidance.
Yeah.
I do CAO courses. I do TY courses. I do undergraduate or postgraduate opportunities. I do all of that stuff from my knowledge of the education system, and from being able to identify pathways, academic pathways. And so I do all that, which is a traditional. But the harder sell is the career profiling. It's about taking one individual, building a model of their behavior, and then saying, in your current role, these are likely to be behaviors which aren't appreciated. So you need to find an outlet for those.
Yeah.
You know, and it's never about changing behavior, because changing behavior is real hard. Anybody who's ever tried to give up smoking or take up a gym routine or lose weight knows it's very hard to change behavior. But by just modifying the environment, people relocate back into it, you know, into it. And so that's the challenge, and that to this day, that is the challenge, that I'm trying to promote a service that the need is there, and you as a client know you have that need, but you just might not be aware that there is a service there which is more focused than coaching. And it's just that it's a product-based service where you come with your current issue or situation, and then we work out a plan over like 2 meetings over 1 month period where you leave with an action plan going forward. That's it. It's not a coaching style. It's not I don't want to be a counseling psychologist. I'm a behavioral scientist, so I'm just using that to give you insights, but also, you know, help you make an action plan that brings you, and a viable plan. It has to be viable. Not good with wish lists. I tell clients this at the start, I'm not good with wish lists. If you tell me you want to be an astronaut, that's fine. I can help you figure out the best way for you to be an astronaut, but it has to be viable too.
Yeah.
Do you know what's all right? So that's it. That's the tough bit. But you know yourself, you know, the successful, and I've given talks in this before in business school, in Dublin Business School, the successful entrepreneur activity has to have a number of streams of income. So you can't just have your novelty. It has to be supported by recognizable features that people can also engage with. Because if you're trying to convince people to buy something completely novel, it's going to be a long day.
Yeah. When I guess we're talking about like that, trying to convince people to buy something novel, because I guess my industry kind of being whether adjacent or part of kind of the creative industries, where I think there's a lot of, unfortunately, work for exposure type culture. And not that I'd expect necessarily work for exposure, but did you find yourself at the start when you're trying to, you know, get the first people in through the door, maybe get your reviews up, build up the personal referrals? Did you find yourself either positioning to private people or maybe out to schools and things like that? Like kind of, were you going any kind of like free consultation route to build up some of these referrals, or how did getting those first people in through the door look for you?
It's just that. No, it wasn't. It was just simply accept that this is going to take time. And you said it there, and I hate it. I absolutely hate it. And the advice I give to people, and unfortunately, I give it to people quite randomly, is that if you have a business, you never work for free.
Yeah.
Ever work for free. There is no. If you work for free, then okay. So never work for free. Make a charitable donation if you want.
Yeah.
As in, so I volunteer with InSync Youth and Family Services in Kildare and West Wicklow. I operate as an academic advisor for that. Basically my job is to convince teenagers to stay in school, individual teenagers who are going through their counselling system. I work with a team of counsellors. I do that pro bono. That's what I do. That's the only free work that you should do, because what that's doing is I'm foregoing the fee for the opportunity to actively contribute.
Yeah.
Don't do that for anybody else.
No, and I remember I thought I was on the right path starting off when I was like that. I was like, I'm not doing free stuff for anybody, but there is a certain amount of like, why should somebody take you when there's an established marketing agency, maybe, you know, charging the same rates, things like that. So I remember at the start, particularly, I definitely won't be naming names, but I would have taken on work that I heavily discounted for other kind of starting business owners. So people I would have met kind of through these little courses and networking events you kind of do as starting your business. And this was kind of my way of being like, well, it's not giving back to a charity, and it's also not working for free, but like, you know, maybe working for like half the rate it usually would be or something like that. And, you know, something more affordable for them. And also, you know, get some good reviews and testimonials and you know, referrals and all that kind of thing. They were the worst clients I ever had. Every single one of those that I gave heavy discounts to were the worst people I've ever worked with. I don't want to labor on it because I think I did talk about it during the last week's video as well. But it was, you know, there was a certain amount of sympathy for it because this is the business they're after starting. Of course, they're super invested in how everything looks and how, you know, but inevitably those people had 20 revisions to everything. Nothing was ever good enough. They were nightmares to deal with. Whereas then and you know, at the start there was a certain amount of even questioning. I was like, oh, am I doing this right? Or you know, what's going on? Very quickly though, once I started working with bigger companies, you know, 300 times their size or whatever like that, I went, oh no, they've maybe come back and asked for one little thing changed, or they've come back and went, geez, that's brilliant work, excellent, well done. I go, oh no, I wasn't the problem in those relationships. The problem was elsewhere, you know. So I'm glad to hear that. I hate that as well, and I it's particularly in the field that I'm in, I hear it far too much. I hear people working, you know, doing kind of work for exposure if they're a freelancer, doing these kind of unpaid stints to you know, earn their tenure and all that stuff, and like it's not right. Yeah. So
well, yeah. Well, you're talking about that. Okay, so it's about value. It's as simple as this. It's the value that you provide to individuals, and I constantly come up against this with the value that I provide to the parents of a 6th-year student who's really struggling to identify what they want to do after they finish school is different from the value that I provide to a 52-year-old mid-career business person who is looking to make a successful career change into something that is their passion. Like the value for those two people, and that's the thing that I always wrestled with. And it's the same question as the zero value or as the zero reward, because when there's zero reward, you devalue you devalue your services, your contribution, your expertise. And we've both spent a long time being really good at what we do, you know, so you're devaluing that. But the problem that most entrepreneurs I find fear is that they fear overcharging. And the way that I deal with it, and I've taken advice from people on this, and the way that I do, it's simply is that you have to consider the value that you're providing. Now, when you meet a client, you have to introduce them to this is the value that I'm providing. So therefore, my fee is not excessive because this is what it's going to provide. Yeah. And that's the easiest way to find out if you're charged, particularly if you're in an industry where there's not set rates. You know that you don't want to do that because by focusing on the value means you get better. If somebody pays you 600 or 800 or 1,000 euros a day or whatever it is that they're paying you, then by making sure that you supply them with the value for that means that you work harder. Yeah. You know, it doesn't work the other way. And it reminds me of my sister. My sister is an amazing saleswoman, very successful, retired at 51 successfully, and lasted 3 or 4 weeks before she suddenly set up her own business. But two things that just struck me in the first one. The first one, she said to me, she rang me after a month and she said, Sean, people keep offering me stuff. And I went, oh yeah. And she went, what's that all about? Because she came from corporate world. And I said, oh yeah, entrepreneurs will literally go, you know, do you need a hand with something? Yeah. You know, because we're all in this boat together. When I opened the test company, the office in Nace in 2020, my God, I got so many offers of office furniture. Yeah. I was like, I don't only have one office. You know, but the other thing, and the lesson that I learned from her was, and I mean, this is someone who used to sell millions and millions and millions. And I remember saying, oh, I might give it, I said, I might give a discount. And she just went, oh, you never give the money back. You never give the money back. She said, you offer extra time, you offer additional service, you offer additional anything. She said, but you never give the money back. I went, okay, fair enough. And I was just talking about maybe taking 20% off for repeat business or whatever. Yeah. But she viewed it as being that's you're giving back money to them.
Yeah, no.
So give them more, and that ties in, I think, nicely with my value thing.
Yeah.
You need to, if you're going to charge, 1,200 quid a day, then you want to give value for 1,200 quid a day. You're going to charge 200 quid for, or 200 quid for 2 hours or whatever it is, then you give, you make sure that you provide value for that. And that's the easiest way. There's never a right amount to charge. I argue about that. There's never a right price. But I do know if you price too low, people devalue your service and they don't use your services. If you price too high, they may not think your value is worth it. But your job as an entrepreneur is to and a professional is to highlight what value you're going to provide and why that's a reasonable amount of money for doing it.
So one thing I'm always interested in, particularly kind of with solo business owners, is how, or what, particularly what parts of your personal life bleed into the business life. Like, are there kind of routines, habits, stuff that you've built up in your personal life that you can kind of see now embedded in your business life?
I really struggle to separate those two. Yeah. I just don't get it. When myself and my wife, when we moved in together, I never forget it. At the time, I was fully engaged in hire equip, and I remember her saying to me one day, she just said, "Do you not speak on Sundays?" And I'm like, "No." Oh, I said, because by 6 o'clock on Sunday, I'm already at next Wednesday. Do you know that sort of way? Because I'm, it's download from that and into this. So I think it's the opposite. I think my personal life, and particularly my family life has meant that I'm a lot more aware of that you can't work all the time. Yeah. You're not allowed to. And it's not good for you. And this is the problem with entrepreneurs. Yeah. Gary Vaynerchuk, famous. He said something, and I went, "Oh my God, that is so correct." He said, if you're out for dinner with your girlfriend, and you go home at 11 o'clock on Friday night, and he said, if you go home at 11 o'clock on Friday night, and if you aren't thinking about your business, you're not an entrepreneur. Yeah. And I was kind of going, yeah, I get what you're saying. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's the opposite for me. I think that my home life, my social life, actually removes me from being just located in the business 24/7, because the temptation is to do it.
Yeah, I think I've been very similar myself, and even before I went out with kind of this business of my own, where I have been in kind of all-encompassing roles. I mentioned I've been kind of digital editor of a national newspaper, been like high up involved in public relations campaigns of multinational companies. And in those jobs, it was so easy to be stressing and thinking about, as you said, what's coming 2, 3, 4 days down the line at like 9 o'clock in the evening. And where at least I found a little bit of balance there is that, yes, I am, whether fortunately or unfortunately, still constantly thinking about work. But one, now that it's mine, I have a lot more control over it. If I say, no, the laptop is being closed now, and we're going out and doing something with the family or whatever it might be, that unless a client's house starts burning down and maybe I need to start dealing with that, for the most part, that's it. I don't have a director or a manager above me who is calling and saying that this needs to be done this evening or whatever like that. And the other side of it then as well was that this time I actually love what I do. I don't mind that I'm thinking about it in the evening, because I'm thinking about it most of the time. There's obviously sometimes it's just problems that I'm trying to figure out in the evening, and that happens as well. But most of the time it's about like, what's that next exciting thing we're going to try, or even saying problems. Sometimes I love problem solving in the evenings, like once I've let all of the busyness of the day die down, sometimes, just the way our home life is, usually my wife might go to bed an hour or so before me, And it's during that quiet little period, sometimes I get some of my best problem solving done.
Yeah,
So it's literally like when the whole world quiets down, that's when I get to. And but as I said, I am happy that while maybe if I look at my life over the last 10 years, it hasn't changed much in that sense, but it's changed in the most important way that one, I'm in control, and two, I deeply care about it. And, I'm invested in this, I'm invested in and directly benefiting from the success of what I'm doing.
Yes, and it is that, but it's tangible. You know, it's yeah, I think once you get to a level in your business, now to start, it's just full on. You're just kind of totally engaged. But I think once you get that, normally takes 3 or 4 years where you just get it to a level where you don't have to watch it. It's like your child, you don't have to watch it every moment at a time. That it kind of takes away in the background. Once you can do that, then you are a lot more discerning about, okay, you get to the stage where I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I could do that, but I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And it's getting to that level. Somebody was telling me last week that for the first time in their life, a client asked them for business or to do some work for them, and they just went, I don't want to. I could do it, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
It's just you just kind of get the realization. Yeah, I don't think I want to do that. And it's not an arrogant place to be, but I think it's a confident place to be where you just go, I could do that, but that is likely to just put other things under stress, which I don't feel I need now. And that's it. Getting that balance is whenever it's I imagine it's like anything else. Once you're in that flow, you're like, okay, yeah, this is just at the level where the complexity of the challenge is equal to the level of my skill, and then you're in that certainly highly flow state where you're just kind of moving through it. That's when you could make those rational decisions then, because you're not hanging on like you would be in the first couple of years. So it sounds like you've moved into that.
I definitely find myself the last year, that's where I'm finding myself more and more. Not necessarily, I've turned down a little bit of work, but like not gleefully turning it down at every corner.
Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah.
But that I'm not so desperately kind of just saying yes to whatever, because particularly starting this whole thing off during COVID was anything. Whatever work you've got going for me, we'll do it. We're going to keep the lights on, and we're going to get through this rough period, and we're going to thankfully get to where I think I am now, where we're into the regular work we want to do. That's kind of retainer based, kind of monthly contracts for kind of ongoing work with clients. So look, I'm very happy with that. So
do you find I'm always going to be a psychologist on this, right? So do you find that is, do you take, because entrepreneurs rarely do this, do you take credit for that, for building it, for getting to that stage, or do you just think in the back end, this just happened?
No, I don't think I'd ever be that hard on myself. Like, I know, and now I feel like in my response, I'm going to be doing the exact opposite. I'm going to be like patting myself on the back too much. But it's a very hard thing to not only make it work, but to take that leap. There's so many people that I've talked to, particularly, I guess, over the last 5 years about this kind of stuff, that are coming to me from the perspective of, God, I'd love to do that, but, and sometimes it's, it's financial worries, sometimes it's, the responsibilities they have at home, sometimes it's just the paralyzing fear of not having a steady paycheck and for it to be all on their shoulders. I think I did it at the right time for me as well. I started the business when I was 29. I believe I was engaged at the time. I definitely wasn't married. Didn't have a kid. Now I have a kid who's almost 2 now. I think if I had have waited a little bit longer, and if I had have gotten myself into a situation where I had a child, I think I would have been very much more hesitant to take the leap, because it's all well and good to say maybe I can't put food in my own mouth. But
Yeah.
when the question is, can I not put food in his mouth?
Yeah.
It's a lot bigger. So I do think I was lucky going out and doing it when I did it, or I chose right, and knowing that I needed to take the leap now or never kind of thing. And yeah, like it was a lot of hard work to get to this point. Well, it was a lot of figuring things out as I went, a lot of grifting, a lot of whatever needed to be done. Yeah.
And that's it. And you see the way you've just described it there. So that's the process that my clients look for. So on the basis that you have identified there that there was a time whenever when the environment was optimum for you to take this risk. You also appreciated that it was a risk, but you're weighing up of the risk and your current lifestyle suited taking that risk. Whereas when you're thinking 2 or 3 years later, 4 years later, oh, now my environment's changed, my responsibilities have changed. We have a child, I have a wife, I have all of these other things. So the environment has changed. And this is the perspective that I come from. That if you don't take career guidance and change, if you don't take those factors into account, it's not going to be viable. It's not going to be successful, because you have to appreciate that the individual, the clients that I'm working with, they have all of these factors, but they can be managed, they can be addressed. And the career change is likely to be an incremental one. It's not a bungee jump. I said to you before off camera, I have 2 rules. The first one is you're not allowed to quit your job the day after you meet me. That's an important rule, because it's not an escape. It's not get me out of here, Sean. But sometimes with clients, it is a get me out of here. And I have to respect that and say, yes, you need to leave that environment, but we'll make a plan for doing that. Yeah. But for most people, it's just that, what would you like to do? Okay, and why can't you do that? And then if we can construct a plan which takes advantage of your abilities and skills, it takes advantage of the environment that you're in, or else a new possible environment which will give opportunity in that. And then you have that perception of control where you are taking this action and moving through this structured process. Then it's likely to be viable then. It's not a bungee jump into the unknown,
I have been asking this question, I think, to everybody who's come through the podcast, the video series so far, but I think particularly with your field, I think it's maybe a particularly interesting one. But what advice would you give, or maybe you already give it daily, but what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs who are either starting out or are thinking of taking the jump?
Well, okay, so I have many mantras I live by, right? And they all come from different people. The first one comes from my dad, and it's the best piece of advice I've ever been given, and I still use it to this day. And he says, just start. You never know. He said, you don't know. You just start. You never know. And that has been a motivator that I have used all the time. If I'm thinking about an idea, if I'm thinking about making a call to someone, if I'm thinking about sending an email, it's like, just start and see where it goes, because it might be fantastic. The second one belongs to a friend of mine who's a very successful principal of a very, very large and active forward-thinking school. And he has a sign over his desk which says DBS, right? And it's just don't be shit. And he just has it over his desk. And I remember asking him, what is that? And he said, that's what that is. He said, it's just to remind me. He said, a principal who hired him once said, look, happy to give you the job. He said, but just don't be. And he said, ever since then, that's it. So now when I think, and I'm going to take on something new, I just go, if you're going to do this, Sean, just don't be. Do you know what I mean? Give it a really good go.
One, just do it, and 2, actually put your heart into it.
Yeah, no,
might be the more.
Yeah, no, exactly.
The right way of putting it.
Yes, I really like it. Yes, I really like it. And then the third one belongs to what do you call him? Tony Robbins, isn't it? Tony Robbins. And in one of his seminars, I watched it on TV. One of his seminars was $10,000 a ticket, and there's 2,000 people in the arena and all that. But his take-home message, I really like. His take-home message is, because you said you would.
Yeah.
So every time I go, oh, why am I doing this? It's like, because you said you would.
Yeah.
It's because you just own it. if you said to someone, I'm sending you that email tomorrow, send the email. And even if it's 11 o'clock at night or whatever, like, oh, I should have done that. The minute I start to go, I'll do it tomorrow, I go, hang on, you said you would do it.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's the advice I give to entrepreneurs, because it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to get up and do stuff. Sometimes it's hard, to give it your all, because it is a marathon. It's not a sprint. Yes, but you just, at the end of it, what you just want is that you're understanding that, that you did your absolute best. There was nothing else you could do. You left it on the field, sort of sport analogy. I don't do sporting analogies, but yeah, that would be my advice.
So we're almost done. I have two more questions to ask you, but I guess first of these, what you can talk about, there may be things that you can or you don't want to talk about at the moment, but do you have any future plans? Do you have any new ventures that are coming along, something that's going on with the test company, new things you're trying? Is there anything that you'd kind of like to talk about, I guess either for the test company or for Dr. Sean Boyle?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I can talk about it because we've been planning it for a long time, and I think this is going to be it. Okay, so among my clients, I've noticed this, and now among my peers, because I'm in this age bracket, we have this issue. It's more prominent in IT than a lot of other sectors. But when you hit 50 in corporate land, you're leaving in the next 2 to 3 years on the basis that they no longer require your skills.
Right.
So what you have is people who have been immersed in a corporate world doing very well and very successful. And what I'm finding is that they often don't see that it's coming. They often don't look at, and if you look at the age profile I'm not targeting anybody, but what I'm saying is if you look at the age profile for any major corporate organization and you see the percentage of staff who are over the age of 52 or 53, which is still 13 or 14 years away from actual retirement age, there's very few there. Now, what I've discovered is that these people are taking it quite badly because they didn't see it coming. So this is a trauma for them. Now that you have an industry that doesn't like, and I argue this all the time, that the major casualty to AI isn't lower paid basic jobs that AI is doing it. The major casualty in AI is people over the age of 50 who are in the tech sector, because they've upskilled through PCs, through servers, through cloud computing. Now AI comes along, and they maybe don't want to engage with it, or they don't believe that they can. So my clients like that, they're going through this experience that they may or may not see coming. So this is the exciting bit, and this is what I'm fierce excited about. So myself and performance psychologist, Dr. Dylan Colbert, we've put together a 1 day, one client, two psychologists, where we literally just pull apart your whole career, rebuild, highlight opportunities, highlight obstacles, introduce strategies for motivation, for goal setting, for goal achievement. So for people who are, mid-career, talking 45 to 55, who maybe have lost that forward focus that they were driving, maybe it's starting to appreciate that it might not be there, or they're starting to plan for their exit with still 12 or 14 years to go in their working life. It's a big deal for, regardless of level of accomplishment or whatever. A lot of people don't expect to be laid off in their 50s. And I've just started to notice that it's a big thing. So myself and, let's say, Dylan Colbert, we put together, we called it, I'm not going to tell you what it's called, but it's really cool. So it's literally 1 day where a client comes, spends the whole day with us, and we literally pull apart what they've been doing, highlight opportunities, and then Dylan works on the whole performance thing of just, so they leave with a structure for what they're going to be doing for the next 10 or 12 years. So it's really exciting for us.
That sounds great, and it sounds something very much needed as well.
Oh my God, yeah. Well, I'm at that age, and my friends keep kind of going, I'm like, what are you going to do in 2 years' time whenever your company lets you go? And they're like, I'll just go back to sales or whatever. I was like, maybe not.
Yeah.
You might want a better plan than that. But I think it's going to be. I'm doing a bit of research on it at the minute for the next 12 months. I think it's going to be a problem, because I think that it's going to be 10 years. Well, I'm starting to bore you with science. Sorry. Yeah. We'll move on. We'll move on because I can talk for hours on it.
Yeah. And okay, so final one, right? Final one, a little bit lighter. Well, a little bit lighter, depending on how you take it. But something that we've maybe touched on. I can't remember if we talked about it on or off camera, but I have this background in scouting, and I have taken my last question directly from the Scout playbook, which was just a little simple something that we would have done at the end of like a camp, at the end of like the year, just highs and lows. So if I can ask you, over your last year,
Okay.
is there a high? Is there a low? And to direct you a little bit, I would love to hear the low first, because it is good to end on a high.
In the last 12 months, has there been any lows?
It's a wonderful complaint if there hasn't been, but I'd also be surprised if there hadn't been.
No, sorry.
It's going well, good.
Yeah. I can't, I'm just flat out now.
Good.
Do you know what I mean? In Carroll College St. Pat's, the degree is going fantastic. We've got, there was a brand new degree, so now the second years are coming to the end of their year. We've got a new bunch of first years just going through the end of theirs. Got new first years coming up. We got Psychological Society of Ireland accreditation issue.
Yeah.
That's 5 years of work, a brand new degree, a brand new product, never had it before, and then we got that. So that's got to be a high. A low, I would struggle. I'm sorry.
Good.
Thank God. Like if you had asked me lows in the last 10 years, I'm like, how long have we got?
Yeah.
Do you know? Like you can't have, but no, not in the last 12 months. Last 12 months, everything is just. It's just one of those periods where everything just seems to be fantastic. My son graduated from college. He's happy. My other son's about to finish school. He's happy. We got away on a nice holiday. I haven't been on a holiday in 4 years. 4 years. And we all went to Greece last June. So no, it's been a really good year. And yeah, I am kind of enthused about the next one. But yeah, no, it's all been good.
Look, like I said up the top, we haven't caught up heavily much in the last kind of 10 years. It is so nice to be here in front of you again. Obviously, the cameras are rolling now. We can meet up again with the cameras off. But you were always so lovely in college, very intelligent. Clearly now with your doctorate, there was backing behind that. It's so great to see you be so successful. It's great to see good people do well. So thank you for your time. Thank you for coming in and doing the show. Wishing you every success in the new ventures you've discussed, in the test company, everything in your career. Thank you for coming along today.
Oh, Sean, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's great to just talk entrepreneur to entrepreneur, to be honest with you. And I'm similar. I've loved watching how you've, I was kind of paying attention when you were with the Scouts, and then how you progressed, into media, and then you progressed into your own business. And I'm just so thrilled that it's gone so well for you. So congratulations. Keep going. And yeah, I'm happy to be in a network with you, man.
Lovely. Right, thanks. I think we'll call it there.
Lovely. Thanks a million.